for what I'm talking about from a human nature psychological mindset, is that the human psyche will go back to something they are not happy in just because it's familiar and they know what they're going to get, rather than separate from the familiar and go to an unexpected, unknown future with a hope for a better place. People choose bondage over hope because the transition from bondage to hope is the unknown. And when you hit trials and tribulations, hope becomes fear, and fear retreats to bondage. A lack of direction, feeling lost, is a real emotion that happens after a layoff, after a breakup. The lack of a vision and clear direction for your life makes your soul perish. You know, there's a scripture that says people perish from a lack of vision, a lack of knowledge as well, but there's one about a lack of vision. And that's what happens, when you get knocked on your ass in life, again, financially, emotionally, layoff, a breakup, whatever it may be, just something doesn't go as planned. When you have plans and things are going as planned, the vision for your life is playing out how things are going to go according to how things are. Then one day, your plans are totally changed because something happened in the mathematical formula of your life that shocked you, changed, or was outside of your control. And now, as you crash, like you have a stock market crash, you have a personal life crash. Sometimes it may be because of the stock market crash. Sometimes it may be, again, because of your job or because of a personal situation. But a crash is exactly that. It's just immediate change in direction. And part of finding the bottom or bottoming out is accepting where you are, evaluating your new reality, and then trying to collect yourself, pick up the pieces, the ones that are left that are still useful in your life, and see what is your next direction. When you hit a crash in life and your plans change, when your plans change, the one good thing that can happen is that it gives you an opportunity to change some things that maybe you really weren't inspired with about your life, but you weren't motivated enough to change them. Sometimes we have to have no other option, and that's the only way we'll change. So the good thing about sometimes getting laid off, even though it's a horrible thing, is that, well, maybe now you can get a job with people you work with that you like more, a job doing something you like better. Maybe you can move to a different state, a different place because you really don't like living in that area, but you stayed in that area because of a job. A breakup, a breakup may take a little bit longer because, like, when you get laid off or get fired, you accept it because you have no other choice but to accept it, right? So you bottom out quicker. A breakup or a divorce, that can linger on for months or a year. And until you bottom out, you really can't change your direction until you kind of figure out, all right, is this person really out of my life? Do I still want to live around this person? Like, if you get laid off, there's really no sense to live around that job because you're not going back into that job. If you have a breakup with someone, you may still want to live in that same town, city, or state because you may have an idea that you may go back to them. You may have children involved. So when things change, it presents opportunities depending on the circumstance. But make no mistake about it. Many people will not change until they have to. And as painful as it is to look at your life and not know where you're going, that's painful. It's overwhelming emotion. Sometimes people stay in misery just so they know what to expect. I'll never forget, when I was reading the Bible, one part that I always thought was interesting was in the beginning of the Bible. It tells a story about a group of people, the Israelites, that were enslaved, and then they kind of fought for their freedom, like God delivered them from Egyptian slavery. And then they started to wander in the wilderness to a better place, what they called the Promised Land. And a big percentage of the people that were in a transition, they were going from slavery to a place that they thought was going to be better, a Promised Land. But in between that was this wilderness, wandering aimlessly, trying to find a better place. And in the middle ground, in the wilderness, a lot of them said, you know what, this is stupid. Let's go back to slavery because at least we know what to expect. We know we're going to get fed once a day. We know, a routine. We know we're going to do this, do that. I always found that interesting from a human nature mindset perspective. Not really a religious perspective for what I'm talking about, from a human nature psychological mindset. Is that the human psyche will go back to something they are not happy in just because it's familiar and they know what they're going to get, rather than separate from the familiar and go to an unexpected, unknown future with a hope for a better place. People choose bondage over hope because the transition from bondage to hope is the unknown. And when you hit trials and tribulations, hope becomes fear, and fear retreats to bondage. So what I tell you, if you're going through a layoff, a divorce, a breakup, go forward and never look back. Change your number and never give it to anyone. Move, get away from what is no longer part of your future. I know it's tough to see a vision for the future, but you can never have a better future until you leave your past. And that's my message. Be responsible for what you need to do. If you have children involved, if you have financial responsibilities in a certain area, but you can be responsible and still move on with your life. Eventually, you'll find a better situation. And that's I feel that in my soul this morning. But you gotta, I'll leave on this note. I think it's a powerful quote. Martin Luther King had this quote. He said that faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase. Faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase. I think many times we have faith for something better, but we want to see the entire staircase. And we get frozen, paralyzed in fear. You got to move. You got to move forward, even if you can't see your entire future. It's the only way to keep balance in life. I think Albert Einstein said that the only way to keep balance in life is to keep moving. It's like riding a bicycle. I think faith is an important part of life, not necessarily religion. I don't care what religion you are, even if you're atheist. But I do fully believe with all my soul that you don't go forward in life without a level of faith. You'll have to determine what that means to you, okay? Because I'm not here to give you, I'm not trying to convert you, but I'm sharing that you're going to need faith to go to a new direction in life, okay? Whether you're the Israelites, Martin Luther King, or Bob Jones from Maryland, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever your life is. But don't stay in misery. I know misery is comfortable, it's familiar, and it's a routine. Humans are creatures of habit. And it's very tough to change habits. They say it takes the average human 21 days to change a habit. And even after you change a habit, you always think about the past. You're always replaying memories. Got to keep going forward, guys. And eventually, you get to a new vision for your life. Walk. Go for a walk. When you're totally lost, go for a walk. Play your music. Get inspired. That's what I'll tell you. If you appreciate this video, I appreciate if you click the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not. Check out my playlist and my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and love.